Okay, so I'm really talking about aesthetics, design, and art and all that, but it is in the context of what I call the present civilizational crisis. Okay, what is the present civilizational crisis? I think the Industrial Revolution and then the rise of global capitalism and so on has reached a kind of apex. Because the underlying premises of the kind of industrial civilizational order is almost a total rejection of anything spiritual, right? All human values are monetized. So this is the situation, right? So I know this too well as an architect, right? That almost the entirety of architectural design effort is totally within the monetized environment, right? I'm not sure whether, but I suspect it also is.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, middle class aesthetics is about what has happened in the process of the last 70 years, right, after the end of Second World War, right, was the creation of the middle class. And in the process of creating the middle class, the term that I want to use is that there was a systemic dehumanization of the human being, right? And we are now at a stage in human history where we need to transition to a process of re-humanization. Okay.
Wait, are you saying it is deliberate or did it happen organically?
I think it is partly deliberate, partly organic, partly systemic. Right? So it's a very complex situation. All right. So I will take a detour from the dialectics of truth and beauty. This is the problem with philosophies from Aristotle, Plato, Thomas Aquinas, and all that. They conflated ethics with aesthetics, you see. This is completely nonsensical conflation, okay? So this is the problem, you see, the metaphysics, epistemology, the logic of ethics and aesthetics. These are the guys, right? So they have confused all of us completely for the last 200 years or more. So I have to talk about myself for a start. I have to confess who the hell I am, right? As an architect in this tropical Southeast Asian world that is trying to be free from the imperialism of westernized thought, taste, and style and fashion, I've always felt the need to be true to myself, my people, and my locale, freed from the received wisdoms from the West. Thus, I rebelled against the imperialism of ideas, which the PAP government is completely absorbed in, right? Even Lee Kuan Yew's sidetrack into Asian values was actually a political ploy, right? To answer the criticism that was leveled against him, against Singapore, for the actions taken against Michael Fay. You all remember Michael Fay?
Yes.
Yeah. So that was basically his way of saying, this is Asian values at work, right? So in the process of rebelling against imperialism ideas, I had to rethink a lot of things, you see, including design language, right? And finally, I recognized. I prefer to use recognize, right, rather than recognize, right? Because there's a very interesting process involved about recognition, right? What I was actually doing, and then my real realization came from that. Okay, let me explain. The human brain is the right brain and left brain, right? The right brain cognizes, right? It apprehends, it catches the thing, whatever the phenomenon is, it catches it, right? So cognition, right, is then transferred to the left brain, which recognizes it.
Yes.
The process of recognizing, right, means that that which has been apprehended, the real thing, right, is recognized in terms of social, cultural, and ideological constructs. Because we are part of the whole system of knowing things, right? So the recognition process is, it seems to me to be a kind of a reprogramming of the actual cognition, right? Okay. So this is the result of what I do, right? This is the Chitong Temple in Aokang. I was in a taxi to take Professor Lu away from Tongji University. She was very curious about this building to see it, and we were trying to give the taxi driver instructions how to go there, which avenue to turn, and so on. And the taxi driver was completely confused. And then finally he said, "Oh, what you mean is the temple of the glass lotus." Wow, that hit me. I never designed it as a temple of the glass lotus. Okay, okay. So that was his recognition, you see, right?
He had to make meaning of it.
He made meaning, but that was not my purpose. My purpose was to design a roof structure with mirrors on top, so that the altar lights and candles and all that would be reflected out into the for
those
people
are
outside.
mirrors.
It was purely an optical device, right? Okay. So this is the problem, you see.
Maybe it's
Now-
your subconscious
It's
at
not
work.
a problem.
What?
This is an
It
interpretation.
is an interpretation.
Sorry?
How people interpret art.
Yes.
Interpretation.
So you should be
Yeah.
very
But the
flattered.
interpretation,
It's right,
the interpretation
actually.
is
Glass.
the interpretation is highly politicized. It's highly politicized.
Why
you
is it
see.
politicized?
Sorry.
Why is it politicized? If
Be,
you think
be,
it's a
be,
glass lotus?
because the role of politics in contemporary society is to harmonize.
But the taxi
Right? I'm
driver-
using a nice word, no?
Oh, yeah, put
It's
it
to,
on.
the harmonization of the mind is, I think it's a nicer word than to propagandize the mind.
True, but
Okay.
why, for a taxi driver, why do you say it's politicized when he calls it the glass lotus? I'd like to hear why.
Oh,
Why because I mean even the art center, the Esplanade, became a durian for a lot
yeah.
of people. but that's not
Politicization is a very complex issue which we will be dealing with it as we go along, right?
Okay.
So this is what it looks like in the daytime. Now, the interesting thing about this project is that when I was appointed by the building committee, they said that you have to design this building and you have to discuss your design with the master.
Master attack.
Okay? So I thought, oh, master must be the head of the building committee lah.
The monk or something.
When I went to the meeting, the master was an old lady in a trance, right? And she was speaking in a deep man's voice, right? So she asked me, how many stories, how many levels is there? I said 3. Oh, very good. What sort of walls do you have? I said, I have no walls, right? I just have a big roof, right, with shelters from the rain. Huh? No walls? How can you have a building without walls? I said, well, in our tropical environment, all we need is a big roof. We don't need walls. Say, okay, let's see how you do. And then, in my later meeting with her, my original roof was pyramidal, no? Okay? So there are 4 sharp corners. And she said, oh no, you cannot have sharp corners because that is very rude to the people living around you. You're like pointing something at them, you know? I said, oh my God, does she mean that I have to do the Chinese turn-up roof? Right? Which is not something I wanted to do, right? So what I did is I chopped the four corners off, right? So it became a kind of chopped off
Like a facet
octagon, and I show it to her. She says, yeah, okay. So because of all that conversation with her in a trance, the design was approved. So the building committee had no say at all. So I said, my goodness, this is the first time in my life. Otherwise, typically architects will have to do 3 or 4 alternatives and all that kind of crap. You see. So this is one of the designs. So it also exemplifies the kind of struggle that I have. See, I don't want to be replicatively traditional. Neither do I want to be modernistic in the kind of Bauhaus kind of sense. Okay, the Western industrial aesthetic, right? So this is the kind of result. And at the macro level, all right, the issue that I challenged was how do you design buildings in the tropics, right? And most architects, Ken Young is the chief of them all, right? Would be thinking about how to have sun shading, how to turn the sun shading into a aesthetic device, and so on and so forth, right? So my point to Ken and to all the kind of tropicalist architects is that what's the point of if you are very successful, you will reduce the temperature of your building interior by 2 degrees, right, from the external temperature. When the mere fact of putting up a building in the dense urban area, you have increased the entire heat island effect of the city by 5 degrees. So it's a bloody waste of time, right? Well, of course, Ken totally disagrees with me. And I told him, hey Ken, it's about time now. You made enough money already, right? Start getting real, okay? Yeah. But of course, he's a businessman, so he's making money from the propaganda.
I mean, you are paid for this job, right?
Sorry?
Are you paid for this job to design this?
Oh, this was a very interesting thing because it was commissioned by the Ministry of
So were you paid
National
for this
Development.
job?
I was paid.
Okay, that's all I want to know.
Where is this?
This is Kampong Bugis, which is the site is still empty, at the Kallang Basin.
So the
Across from
project
Pico.
store.
Sorry?
Across from Pico Arts.
Yeah, across from Pico Art, yeah.
So is it completed or the project?
No,
No, it's shelved. And the reason why it's shelved is because Mr. Liu Taiker, right, was very upset by this because
Oh, yeah.
I was challenging his planning theory, you see.
Oh no.
His planning theory in Singapore was to turn Singapore into a garden city, right? Whereas I'm saying that you should turn it into a tropical city in which you deliberately design so that the total heat island effect of the city will be reduced. I mean the facts are there already. That the temperature taken at midnight in Orchard Road is 5 degrees higher than the temperature in Lim Chu Kang. Okay, Lim Chu Kang is out in the countryside. It's the 5 degree centigrade temperature difference. So this is the effect of the heat island effect, you see, right? So the challenge in the urban planning is the challenge to planning is, the challenge is not architecture. The challenge is urban planning, right? So architecture are a waste of time. Architects are a waste of time. Sorry. We will come back to that. Okay, so now we have to go into a bit of neuroscience, okay? This is the brain, right? The right brain is basically intuitive, right? It's natural. The left brain is logical, mathematical, and so on, right? There are bridges between the two. There's a huge bridge between the two, right? So the right brain cognizes, the left brain recognizes. Okay, so the left brain is politicized, the right brain is natural. Okay. However, it's not so simple. See, this is the famous.
I love that statement.
The famous.
Yeah, write down a bit.
Right?
There's a statement before this. Yeah, beauty is life.
Thank you. That's the one. Love beauty is not in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah, the next paragraph.
Yeah.
Coming to, yeah, that's it.
So beauty is not just in the eye of the beholder, because your eye is conditioned by your mind.
The
So
left brain.
even your right brain is to some extent conditioned by the left brain. Okay? That means your right brain, your intuitive brain is also politicized. Now I use the term politicized in a very specific way, right? Because all of human civilization, the civilizational order itself is a political order. Whether it's in a kampong or in a town or in a or in a continent, right? The process of socialization is a political process, right? Whether we like it or not, whether it's intended or not. Okay, so this is an example of okay. So you see a young girl, right? But immediately you see an old lady.
Trying to see the witch.
You see how your mind flip from one to the other instantly, you know, right? So this is the problem, you see. So
Yeah, now I see.
Why is it a problem?
do you see?
Yeah, the lips are the lips at the
The
bottom.
chin, you can't see the chin.
The chin at the bottom.
Yeah,
The old lady's chin.
yeah. Okay, so this is the caveat, right? That the rehumanization process, yes, is a restoring of the characteristics of the right
The
brain,
chin is the
right?
nose.
In a way to liberate it to some extent from the domination of the left brain, which is the political brain, right? But it's not easy because we are all part of the cultural
Conditioning.
situation, right?
It sounds like the Matrix
Yeah.
movie.
Well,
So because of that, I have to invent a whole what I call the epistemology of aesthetics. The blue part, is the primal instincts, right? It's the elemental perceptual sensory response, the right brain. Okay.
the five senses. Right?
Fight or flight syndrome.
Well,
No,
that's
fight or
part of it.
flight
That's
syndrome
the
is
lizard brain.
is conditioned in the center, you see,
Yeah, that's
right?
the lizard
Where ideology, culture, and the primal instincts intersect. So all of human perception is a result of all these three interacting. Okay.
And language comes from also the intersection of this part of it, right?
Language is in culture.
Culture, not primary.
It's also ideological.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So the underlying assumptions in a word, for example, when you say tropical, even a word like tropical, what does it connote?
Connotation.
It connotes. I will give you an example. When the Chinese artists came from Shanghai after 1949, when they escaped from the communist takeover of China, right? They were all very skilled in Chinese brush painting, right? They were experts. People like Zhong Su Ping and so on. When they came to Southeast Asia, Malaya and Singapore, and some of them even went to Java, Indonesia, they asked themselves, what are we going to paint? Are we going to paint, snowy mountains with clouds hanging over them, with pine trees hanging over the cliff? No, because that kind of landscape does not exist in Southeast Asia. So they invented what they call the Nanyang art.
Yeah.
Nanyang art. And the whole lot of them went to Bali to soak themselves into the native culture, and they did some incredible work, right? Okay. So now this is the three conditions, right? The one below is when the primal instincts are predominant and culture and ideology are subservient. This is I would call it in primitive societies. Okay. The middle one is where the primal instincts are like us now in the
First world.
developed world, in the first world, right? It's really submerged, right? And culture and ideology overtake, are predominant. And this one is my hope, that there is a balance between all three. Okay, so this is the civilizational, the aesthetic civilizational order of the future.
No, why would you enhance primal instinct? Because we are civilized people now. So
Oh.
we deviate from being the
Exactly.
cavemen
That's
or
a good
the-
Even the word civilized is completely politicized,
Yes.
right? It's culturally loaded,
What civil?
right? Right, and that's what makes us. You know, when we go to a village or we go to some out of the way places in the rural areas, we say these people are backward, right? We kind of brush them aside. They are not civilized like us, you know, but actually we are less civilized than them.
Yeah, we have less.
It's all relative in that sense.
No, it's not just relative.
relative,
It is ideologically constrained. And if you don't understand if you don't recognize the ideological force that's acting on you, you are a victim.
Because
You
they're
see?
more, I mean, from what you're saying, then it's like
No,
they
it's,
are actually more human than some of us who are so-called civilized.
Exactly.
that's a whole dialogue into
Yeah.
itself. It's relative
Yeah,
because
that's
it's
the-
anthropological.
That's
It's
the-
an
the
anthropological
whole thing, you know.
Right.
dilemma in itself.
So therefore the discussion about aesthetics is because aesthetics is deeply human. When I'm talking about aesthetic, I'm talking about aesthetics at the primary level. Okay? Right? So aesthetics, let's recap. Aesthetics has three levels: the primary level, the secondary level, and the tertiary level. All right? The primary level is your instinctual level. The secondary level is culturally programmed, and the tertiary level is ideologically fixated. All right? So that is how it works. Okay? So when you talk about taste, so taste is a cultural, ideological response tied to identity symbols. It is formed by socio-cultural ideals. It's socialized. We are victims, right? And when we say, oh, we have better taste than other people, what does that mean? That means you are more socialized. You're more propagandized.
Prisoners.
Yeah. So when you look at the human figure, these are human figures that are found in Anatolia in the excavations in Çatalhöyük, right? Or in some of those ancient, about 12,000 years old, right? These are female figures that represent the goddess of fertility.
You're talking about South
So
America.
women with these kinds of body shapes are revered in those societies. In today's society, we say this is. In today's society, we want this lah. We want this, right?
There is a counterculture that is happening.
Of course.
So is
No.
this politicized?
Oh yes, definitely, right?
Do you think it's politicized or culturally,
Why did you say it's politicized?
culturally kind of?
It is politicized,
Westernized.
right? It's politicized and it's also culturally programmed.
Okay,
Culturally programmed, yes.
let's talk about qipao, the Chinese qipao. You know, the traditional.
How is not having figure hugging?
Yeah. So is that a Western concept or is
Why
it?
is it a politicized thing?
It's not
I'm
politicized.
asking
It's not
why.
Western or
Okay,
Asian.
good question.
Yeah,
Good
It's not
question.
Western
So
or
look at
Asian.
look. Let's do a visual analysis of this picture. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
First of all, she's very slim, right?
Right.
She's athletic, right? So therefore,
But her breasts are enhanced.
her breasts are enhanced, right? Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah, she's right.
Bionic eyes or what?
I can see.
Yeah, she's
You know,
right.
because Hollywood stars have big breasts, right?
Starting from Marilyn
Yeah,
Monroe.
It's the Barbie syndrome.
and on top of that, she's very light color, right? She's light
Fair.
hair, right?
Yes.
You know,
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, you will never have a dark skinned woman posing like that, you know. I'm sorry to say, right? But
I
this
mean,
is
No,
this
now
is
you do.
politics.
Now you do. Now you do.
Nowadays,
Now you do.
Not
of
so
course.
much. Yes,
Not so much, not so much.
happening,
I mean,
but-
sure. I mean,
Even
but I
even
get
there,
your point. I mean,
even
culturally,
there.
this has
No,
become
there's
the prevailing norm.
there's a supermodel with a skin
No, this is
condition.
the prevailing norm in a sense. Yes.
There are exceptions.
No,
to it.
definitely in
You're right. This is the prevailing norm.
It's what I would call a cultural conserve.
it's cultural political, right? Because
I'm
in
not saying
China,
it's
for
political.
example,
Yeah.
the Han in the north are lighter skin. The guys like us in the south, we are darker skin, right?
Barbarians.
India also
So
same.
we are in the Han period, the early Chinese period, we are the barbarians. Okay.
Nan
In
Man,
India,
Nan Man.
Oh,
the
Mogul.
Dravidian cultures are darker skin.
yes.
The northern ones are lighter skin, right?
Yes.
So the history of even the history of Indian culture has been kind of doctored
Yes.
Yeah.
by the
Northerners.
the Northerners who adopted the British scholars, right? That the Hindi culture, right, is a result of the Indo-European movement into India. You see, so this is the kind of political, ideological.
But it's also historical because
That's being seriously challenged now,
And a
right?
premise for
Right?
domination now,
Yeah.
right?
Okay, so you can see that she's trying very hard to conform to the, and this is something very interesting. See, I asked a question on my Facebook page. Why is it that what's her name? What's her name? The recent
Taylor Swift?
Taylor Swift.
Oh.
Taylor Swift.
She's so popular.
Why is she so popular? She's not a Marilyn Monroe for sure, right? She doesn't have big bust, and she's not that. She's quite nice looking, but she's not kind of ravishingly beautiful, right?
It's the lyrics, it's
Yeah.
the songwriting.
Yeah. She represents an attainable goal for the young women in Singapore, right? I asked my friend, actually Lam Chong, who went to the show, right? 2/3 of the young audience are girls, 1/3 are boys. If it was Marilyn Monroe, it would be the other way around. Okay, so it's very clear that the reason why young Singapore girls have an affinity to Taylor Swift is because she is an attainable objective. She is like us. She's the girl next door.
Because
Okay.
of her background as well, right?
Yeah.
And that's
And-
global,
yeah,
not
and
just
on top of
Singapore.
that, she built on
Just
that, right?
Not Singapore.
She played on
it's
that,
global,
right? To
yeah.
say that, oh,
She played
her
on that.
family is in Singapore, blah,
She
blah, blah,
played
right?
on,
yeah.
but not only Singapore, globally she's.
Yeah. Okay, so that's how that's how the recognition of our cognition is being. That's how it works. You see? Okay.
Sorry, before you go up,
Yeah.
can you go back to the previous picture, the
Which one?
Asian culture? Is this South America? Yeah, no, go back. No.
No,
The other way.
The
goddess of fertility.
Oh, okay.
Is this South America or is it Asia?
No, this is Anatolia.
Yeah, Turkey.
Anatolia.
Turkey.
Yeah, Turkey is a very interesting place because from the out of Africa hypothesis, when human migrated, the Homo sapiens migrated, there were two major routes. Right? One went north across the Levant, and then they kind of incubated in Anatolia, which was very climatically very hospitable. It was a grassland. There were a lot of animals, plenty of water, so they had a good life there. The other group went across to the southern coast, Yemen, and then across over to India and so on. Then that came to Southeast Asia.
Mesopotamia.
Yeah. Okay. So, but this is not unusual because in almost every culture,
Yeah.
right? The worship of the
Goddess of fertility.
goddess of fertility, right, was highly revered in every culture, right? Because you must remember that the human population was very small, and to be able to reproduce and to have more children, right, is
Survival.
survival, you know, of great importance, right? Yeah.
could that have led to an evolution of how the woman's body is now, or is it only political according to you?
Yeah, so,
I think
so
it's also a whole function of how culturally or social evolution happens, including how, I mean, now we don't want to reproduce more. I mean, we
Yeah.
do at a very basic primal level, but beyond that, that urgency to reproduce is not there as much as it was, especially in very developed countries, let me call it that. Not
yeah, so
civilized.
also the other very interesting finding that has, well, ideas that have come out from the archaeological evidence is this, that the people who settled in Anatolia were actually hunter-gatherers, fringing on gathering of natural agricultural products, because the area was very fertile, so they were able to live quite well. And the other evidence came out from Katahujok, which is a settlement of about 1,000 families. It's amazing. It's a first. So from the architectural point of view, it's amazing. All the houses are first of all, they are all rectangular, about the same size, and they are side to side.
HDB.
No,
Semi-D.
much more than that. There are no roads.
Oh.
People get access to the house from the rooftop. So they walk from one roof to the next roof.
Probably a heat
Yeah,
setting, right?
and they get in through a hole in the roof. Yeah. And they found from the archaeological remains of the human beings there that there is hardly any trauma in the bones. That means there was no violence.
Where was this? Mohenjo-daro.
No, Chatahuyo,
In Anatolia.
Yes.
Anatolia. There was no trauma. The bone structure, which indicates the muscular structure, right, between male and female are almost the same. That means they were sharing the work. Okay. Third very interesting point is that they buried their dead under the floor of the house. Okay. So the archaeologists are able to dig up the bones and do DNA analysis of the bones, and they found something amazing. The children of different families live in different houses. That means children in the whole settlement of 1,000 families, right, are not monopolized by a single family. You know, they are living with other people.
Spread the DNA, right?
They're shared. It's a shared community,
Like
right?
longhouses in
So it's a
Japan.
very egalitarian community, right? Now, later excavations of other sites, when farming came on stream, that's where violence began.
Yeah.
See,
That's a fact.
Interesting.
because
Agricultural revolution created a
you
whole
know
bunch
that
of
film,
issues.
Ownership and boundaries
the
and
Seven Samurai film, right? Right. The crooks the gangsters they always wait until immediately after the harvest, right? Then they attack and steal the harvest. So once you have agriculture, you begin to store your
grain, your extra
excess,
harvest.
right?
Greed.
Right, and that is where all the
Jealousy,
the
greed.
jealousy, the
Avarice.
greed, right, will come in. So the archaeological evidence also shows. This is also Mohenjo-daro, very interesting, right?
Yeah, Harappa and Mohenjo-daro.
Harappan, Mohenjo-daro, the Indus Valley, right? The houses are all rectangular, and I want to talk about rectangularity as an issue later on. But again, no violence, and the houses
That's post agriculture.
there was agriculture around because it was
settlements started happening post agriculture.
Yeah.
Most settlements,
That's
including
right. But
this
they
one,
were
is
traders. They were
post-agriculture.
traders. The Mohenjo-daro people and the Harappan were
All
traders.
post agricultural
Yeah.
revolution.
So the latest evidence is that they were trading right up to Sumeria, right? Yeah.
Can we
Yeah.
don't jump the gun, we go on with
Yeah, we
Okay.
did.
Okay.
Digressing.
There are so many.
It's fun.
It's fun, yes.
Let's go back to.
Okay, let's talk about beauty, right? So, very clearly, beauty is a cultural ideological construct, right? But it also in the primal area, you see. So what is primal? Right? So beauty for humans is a cultural and ideological construct underpinned by primal properties of coherence, consistency, vivacity, kinship of form, and emotional appeal.
Sorry,
Okay.
I'm not familiar with vivacity. What does it mean? Oh, viral.
No.
Liveliness.
Liveliness.
Okay.
Yeah.
Vivaciousness.
Yeah. So I mean, I have reduced it down to only a few words, but I have a whole list of a few hundred words, you know, which identify the primary responses.
Hard to pin down beauty in a few words.
Kinship of form is a very interesting one. You see, kinship of form, and architects are very, very concerned about this. And a good design clearly shows that all the parts, right? There is a certain kind of kinship with the larger design, right? And lousy architects usually don't see the connection. So this is a very clear thing, right? So kinship of form. And where does kinship of form come from? Very simple. It's from families, right? Because if you cannot recognize that certain people are a member of a particular family, right? So fathers might marry daughters, no? Okay. So kinship of form is a signal that there are kinships, there are identities that should not be violated. Okay. So this is also very clearly in art, in architecture, right? For example, there's a certain kinship of the colors, the strokes, and so on, right? You obviously, for example, those roses there, right? Obviously, all the roses there, right, are recognizable as roses. Why? Because even though in detail the forms of each of those flowers is different from any other, and yet they all look alike because they share the same kinship of form. Okay, so this is a very natural response. Okay. So the question that really bugs me was this, no? Why are there so many colorful birds in the world? Why? Can anyone tell me? I want to know. Why?
Yeah, it's for mating. I mean,
Is it?
it's to attract the other
It's all
opposite sex.
for procreation.
Yeah.
To attract.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the birds, they even do
Breeding.
Or
intense dancing rituals.
Okay.
But
Then why is it that all the birds in the open plain are dull color?
camouflage as well. Yeah.
Why?
But camouflage to avoid being eaten up. So it's all.
So
related.
is there no need for camouflage?
Maybe the predators are not so.
Why are they so
But some of them are
attractive?
also using colors to not be attractive. It scares. Certain colors in the animal kingdom are
dense
used
forest
to
is
scare.
No,
Bright colors
but
can
no,
do
hang
more.
on. But birds are weak, right? I mean, in terms of physique, right? They are
Yes, but is there such a thing as a bird ego?
what?
Bird ego.
Ego?
Maybe they fly over, that's why they're bright.
No, but let's hear your viewpoint. Let's hear your viewpoint. What is your viewpoint?
The puzzling thing, I'm puzzled by
It's
this.
puzzled.
I have no answer. I'm puzzled. My puzzle is
Oh
this.
yeah, I'm
Why are the most colorful birds always found in the most dense forest?
Well, the other thing is that
Which
in
is
the
where
dense
it is
forest-
dark and the foliage is very dense. Why are the most colorful birds found in those environments?
It's a bird ego crying for attention.
what for being.
It's not only birds, reptiles also. You know, like.
If it is bird ego, then why is this guy got
So
no ego?
maybe Kheng, it could be to do with light.
Okay,
and
so in the
how-
plains,
Yeah.
in the plains it's easier to be caught, right? In the dense forest, the color can actually dissipate much easier, right?
But don't you think that in the dense forest, if you were dull color, that is even better from the camouflage
Yeah, but
point
you
of
won't
view?
attract a mate if you're dull. But where's dull in a
Oh, you
in a-
can avoid being colorful by producing very good sounds, right?
That's true too.
Right.
No, I mean it's true, and even in the desert or the plains, you may still need color. You don't want to blend in all the time. So for
But
me,
there's
so
no-
that same logic applies. So it is interesting. Yeah, it's a
my
question.
proposition is very ask a simple question. Why are there no colorful birds in the plains? Why?
Something to think about. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
But then
so
there is-
my job as an educator is to make people think.
No, but can you not see the understated beauty of the term?
Maybe
No,
that's
it's
what
Why is it
That's not the
understated?
point.
Yeah,
That's not the
colours.
point. That understated or overstated beauty is again your interpretation. The point is why are there less?
Hello, Jean.
And that's an interesting question.
Yeah.
It's-
Yeah, okay.
It makes us wonder.
That's
Thank you.
were all the colorful birds killed off in the desert because it was easy.
Okay.
Mona Lisa.
Well, we're still on the subject of beauty, right?
Yeah.
Why is she beautiful?
Why is she beautiful?
Yeah.
Good question. I've always wondered.
No. First of all, do we apply the word beauty to her?
Yes.
I don't, but people do.
What word would you apply to her?
I
Enigmatic.
mean, culturally she's been made to be whatever, but that smile and
Yeah. So you.
I've seen it in person.
In other
I
words,
was underwhelmed.
you think that her appeal is because of the description.
Okay, guys, one conversation. Thank you, Manjeet. So back to you, Kheng Soon. So Kheng Soon's question is, what do you
Mixed
find her
Mona Lisa.
beautiful, and if so, why or why not?
Oh, what do we find
Are we talking about the bird still? or-
No,
No,
Mona Lisa.
Change subject.
We're talking about Mona
Keep
Lisa.
up, keep up.
Mona Lisa. Why do you find her beautiful?
Is that a right or wrong answer first?
No, there's no right or wrong.
This is what I want to ask.
There's no right or wrong.
No, it's not. That's not the question. That's not the question at all. It's not. The question is not about right or wrong. The question is why.
Why what?
No, I'm not just going
Why
to
is
ask,
it-
do you think she's beautiful?
Why does she appeal to us?
Why does she?
I don't know lah. Somebody said she famous.
Perhaps
that's why.
because of the political conditioning
Yes.
of the generation.
Why does she appeal to us? Why is she beautiful or appeal to us? Same.
People
I mean, let's not
people there
let's not
made
split
big
split.
about her.
So we are quiet.
It's painted by
No, but let's
Leonardo
not
da
split
Vinci,
hairs. I mean,
the
why
most
does she?
famous
I
artist
think
at
we
the
think of
time.
many women. Yes.
Yeah, but that particular one, no one knows who is she. Who is she? Who is Mona
Mystery
Lisa?
around
Okay.
There's a mystery.
One conversation. So she appeals to you because
Someone is talking.
she appeals to you because
So the question is, why is she appealing?
Yes.
Why
To
she
you,
appeals?
to you.
Okay, number one
Almost
is
smart.
Yep.
Leonardo da Vinci, because of his famous painting. Number
So
two,
that's
because the smile
reputation.
follows you.
Reputation, right?
The
Reputation.
smile follows you. I'm not political, right? Please don't use the word politics, huh?
Okay, so she's
And the smile follows you.
Okay.
That is her appeal. Your question is
To
why
you,
is she
to
appealing?
you. Okay.
Yeah.
It's to me, my interpretation.
That's her interpretation.
Yeah.
So my interpretation is my primary
So, but
interpretation,
the interesting-
not secondary or not tertiary.
The interesting part is what you said, Kheng Soon, earlier about branding, reputation, culture.
Yeah, branding.
It's all
yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah.
It is.
In that, I mean, everybody will say Mona Lisa is beautiful, irrespective.
I use the general term socialization.
Why is she
Yeah.
appealing to you?
I don't find her appealing.
No, his question is, okay, no, which is good actually.
I don't either.
No, why don't you
I
find
don't
her
either.
appealing?
Yeah, which is good.
What's ugly about her? What is ugly?
Just plain.
No, the question is,
No, she's
why
not
is she
ugly.
appealing?
No, but I mean, to her it's ugly.
Not ugly. She said not appealing. The
The
difference.
opposite of beauty.
Oh,
It's not binary.
Hang on, appealing doesn't mean.
She has no
It does not mean
vivacity.
ugly.
Actually, the girl, the ermine, is much more.
There's no vivacity about
There's no
her.
right or wrong answer, by the way.
Yeah.
For me.
No, I think it does. She doesn't appeal to me either. It's okay.
I think maybe the correct word is, why is she valued?
Yeah.
Right?
Okay, yeah, I like
How
that.
do you define value?
Or it could be the term value could be monetary. Monetary. It could be reputational. It could be
That's his definition.
symbolic, right? All these are
She is valued in all ways.
valuations, right? So artists are extraordinary people, but they are also subject to the politics of the times, because everybody is in the politics of the times. There's no escape. We are all swimming in the same swimming pool.
No.
You're wet. But the point I tell my students is that when you are underwater, you don't feel wet. You only feel wet when you get out.
We are open minds to accept other people.
Yeah, because you are totally submerged, right? You are already absorbed, right? So politics. Let's be clear about politics. Politics is simply the relations between people and place in which power and sentiment play the key roles within the context of time, economy, and technology. That's all. Politics is about relationship, right? So let's not use the term, let's not think of the term politics as, you know, the PAP or things like that, right? Politics is simply power relations between people. That's all.
That is
Right?
true.
Is it about power?
Of course, parents have a power over children, right? The eldest child, right, has a power over the second son, right, and so on, right? So that is the situation in which relationships are structured. There are of course
Exceptions.
variations of this power relations. Some of the power relations can be very hostile. Some of the power relations can be quite accommodating. Okay. Thus, art today is mostly provocation of the mind and the senses. Art in the Renaissance period or art in China, right, has to do with with poetic sensibilities, or with aesthetic sensibilities, or with symbolic sensibilities, right? Today, art is almost entirely left brain, logical, provocation of the mind.
Not true.
And the biggest provocator of the mind is this guy.
No, but what about abstract art? Abstract art.
Exactly this guy,
Damon,
right?
But that's an opinion.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, not all art is like that. All art is not provocative only.
I
There
would-
is still art that
I
is
would say- I would-
animal.
I would challenge that by saying that the
Why not any
the condition, the socio-political condition of today, right? Given the dehumanization of the human culture through materialization, right, consumption and all of that, right, tends to prefer
Sensationalism.
intellectual, tends to prefer intellectualization rather than sensible sensory stimulation. And this is my example, Singapore example. I went to this exhibition which brought to me by Tai Ho, right? Yew Chong. Yew Chong's 60-meter long painting of old Singapore, right? It was not just a reproduction of old Singapore. It was a commentary, right? But it was so I wouldn't want to use the word appealing. No? It was so don't want to use the word attractive. It was so engaging that families, thousands of them, went to see this exhibition with their little children. Interestingly, only little children. The young adults didn't go at all. Okay, young adults didn't go for I don't know what kind of reasons.
Internet more interesting.
Right? So I'm basically saying that Yew Chong's art speaks to the heart, whereas this fellow's art speaks to the mind.
Actually, the Asian example of Murakami is even worse than Damon Hirst.
Which one?
Murakami, the Japanese artist.
Yeah.
He actually he draws for Louis Vuitton.
That's another topic which I'm very interested in, and that is the
Monetization of art.
the tragedy of Japanese culture after Second World War, because they were conquered by the Americans, and they felt beholden to the American culture. Okay, they were completely enslaved by America.
Another topic.
So in Singapore, in architecture, this is an extreme form of what they call pixelation, right? This is an Australian design, right? Pixelation is a protest against regular geometry, particularly regular rectilinear geometry, right? So in Singapore, you cannot do all kind of funny shapes, right? So you tend to then use, bits of color here and there, no? Or bits of detail here and there, in a pixelated manner, right? In almost a kind of desperate effort to overcome the tyranny of regulation, right?
Where is this one?
Right? Because the tyranny of being regulated is a deep right brain function, right? Because we are born free, and we hate to be dominated, right? So you have this kind of extreme, you see,
Wow.
right?
Where is this?
From
This is Frank Gehry, right? To me, the most perverse architect of today.
Is that
saved by computers.
What?
He can only design with computers.
is that a livable?
No, not true. I've seen his work. I've seen his studio.
No, but is
He
that the
makes
habitable?
hundreds and thousands of models because he cannot draw,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? He makes models. Fantastic.
No, but is it habitable? I mean, it doesn't
He
look.
doesn't care. The MIT student hostel, right, designed by him, is unlivable. There's a lot of all the windows leak and everything, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the protest against the dehumanization, right, in the civilizational order in which we are all in.
And not only that, it's so expensive to build, right?
It doesn't
One
care,
straight wall.
right? But in some cases, like the what is this museum in
Got,
what's the name of it again?
In Spain.
yeah, in Spain, yeah,
The Bilbao.
the Bilbao,
Yeah.
that worked very well because
It's
the internal spaces are quite regular.
Yeah.
It's the facade that is all these funny shapes,
Yeah.
And it also, of course, inspired our Vivio City, right?
Oh my gosh.
By the Japanese architect, right? All the external things are just shapes, right? The inside is quite regular, right?
Yeah.
So this is the kind of, it's a deeply felt protest against rectangular regularity, right? People hate it, right? So why is protest being used? Because it's part of product differentiation. It's marketing. More bread and therefore more circus. That's what we are in. Okay? So this is the politics of consumption, right? So now we've got to go back a little bit into the past, right? The Malayan spirit, right, was a time from the 30s, 1930s to the 1970s of freedom. The first flush of freedom, right, from the British colonial order, right? And we felt the winds of change. We fought in streets and jungles and in books and schools, wrote poetry, met in secret, plotted left and right. Dopamine and adrenaline flowed abundantly, and then the iron hand of law set in and the blood froze. Money or its lack, fear became the way of life. Such is normality today. Globalization. May a new age dawn, my hope, when the tide of blood and spirit will once again flow. Right? So this is the reality, right? This is to me one of the great minds of the 21st century, right? Yanis Varoufakis, who used to be the finance minister of France of Greece, right? He wrote the most important book today about the war industry and so on. What he calls the digital economy. So here this is where I tangent off, right? So I'm saying that okay, this is all the reality of our present situation. Then what the hell are we going to do? right? So this is where I'm going into my
So before that, shall we open for questions maybe?
oh sure, anytime.
Anybody with any
I have questions. I have a question. Do you know you talked about tropical architecture? I'm actually particularly interested in that because I've been reading about Geoffrey Bawa, and he's supposed to be the pioneer of tropical modernism in architecture. So, but I feel that a lot of his, outside of his home country, a lot of his
Actually, you're going to go closer because Kheng saying cannot.
I can't hear you, no?
Did you hear?
You might have to speak a
Maybe
bit
a
louder.
step to the front.
Or speak a bit louder, that's all.
Oh, by the way, I need to ask everybody permission. Is it okay to record? Or if not, I will stop the recording immediately.
Delete everything.
Okay.
No, I was asking about tropical architecture. You
Yes.
spoke about that. And I've been recently reading about Geoffrey Bawa.
Yes, I admire him a lot.
Yes, and I feel that within Sri Lanka, where he came from, the wonderful examples of his work, and a lot of architects may claim that they were influenced by him, but I don't see that being applied for nowadays, some of the principles being applied in, say, modern architecture in Singapore at all. Do
And your
you
question
still
is
feel-
why, is it?
Yeah, well, do you agree? Do you think, why is that?
Well, very simple.
Why?
Because Geoffrey Bawa, when Geoffrey Bawa was asked to design the Bank of Colombo, he did an awful design because he cannot design high-rise building. Okay, he's very good in doing houses and resorts or low-rise buildings. He's very sensitive. He's very creative, right? And his best work are all in semi-rural areas. He cannot work in big cities. So therefore, his ideas are valid only in that context. In the big city context, they're totally irrelevant. That's the tragedy of it.
I think it's because it's gay.
I don't think that's
Sorry?
Gay.
Just asking the expert.
What?
Because it's gay.
Is it because it's
No, his gayness has nothing to do with it.
No, I'm just asking what's okay.
You already said
Well,
Okay, high-rise buildings and
he can't. His Bank of Colombo was terrible, so he was terminated. And the architect that was appointed in his place was Lim Chong Kiat from Penang. And that building is also pretty awful.
That's your interpretation, right?
Yeah, no. Okay, I will explain why it's awful.
It is
Yeah.
No, it is. I think it is.
I haven't seen
I think there's some
I
kind of
haven't seen
universal truths that we have to
I
establish.
haven't seen.
Of course, some people
So
might still like it.
Does that mean there's no such, tropical architecture in a high-rise context, does it simply have no application at all?
Oh, that's a good question.
No, that you were not here when I showed the tropical city concept, right? This concept, this one,
No, I did see it, yes. Yeah.
right? So this is a high-rise tropical city in the dense center of the city, right? That addresses the issue of heat island effect. The mere fact of putting up buildings in the city increases the temperature of the city, right? Okay.
But
so,
I got a question about this one. Aesthetically, do you think this is, good looking?
that's up to you to decide, but I have my own opinion, right? Because I designed it, right?
It doesn't look very attractive to me.
What's interesting, Kingston, in this is, the kind of greens that you have on the building.
Yeah.
Some of it is now being done.
I
This
know.
was earlier. When you did it,
Bits and pieces of this have been adopted. This is 1990.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
What
this
you were
is 30
proposing in the
30 over
90s,
years ago.
Woha is doing today,
Yeah.
at that building that I was speaking about, Pan Pacific or whatever, in different ways.
Yeah.
Ken, like you said, Ken Yang has done it. But is that greening making it tropical? Is my question.
Okay, later on I will be addressing this problem, and the issue that I am addressing is that, do we really need big cities? That's a
good question.
That's a much deeper question,
Do
right?
we really need to go vertical?
Well, you need to go vertical if you have limited land. That's simple as that.
No, you can change that back to what you were saying earlier, how they were right next to each other, or how even Charles wrote in his book New Urbanization, where he said, if you go denser, like some of the European cities,
let me give you some.
can still get the same
okay,
population.
Okay. Let me give you some simple arithmetic, okay, which is which answers this question very directly. And when I made this point to the URA, they fell off the chair, all right, because it showed how incompetent they are, all right. No. In my research, in all developed societies, in their cities, the floor area, not land area, the floor area per person is 50 square meters, right?
Yeah.
Of which half is residential, the other half is non-residential. That means hotels, shops, schools, shopping centers, factories, the whole lot. Okay? Now, if Singapore has 7 million people, let's say, right, at 50 square meters per person, right, and if every building is 1 story high, what will it cover? It will cover half the island. If every building is 1 story high. Why? 7 million times 50 is 350 million square meters. The whole island is, let's say, 700 million square meters. Right? It's half, right? So if every building become 2 story, it's 1/4. If every building is 4 story, right, is
I get you.
and so on. If every building is 8 story or 10 story, it's a small fraction, right? In other words, the way we are designing is completely wrong.
That's what I was going to say. Why do we have to go vertical like that building, for example, in the tropics with a curtain glass for residential?
You cannot answer that question without looking at the whole macro picture, you see, because under certain conditions you need to go high rise. I will show you some examples later.
Can I just ask one question? Is there one tropical city design?
No, none.
None.
No city design?
None. Why? Because all the architects are trained in stupid schools.
And they don't go.
No, everybody's following. It's a Western paradigm that is being followed and being applied. I mean, I went for a presentation to China and everybody sat in and we'd done this beautiful thing and they looked at it and they said, why did we invite you from America if you want? We want glass and steel and tall towers. This was one of the biggest chairmen of the, and I was working for a company then, and we were like, and we'd done something, more appropriate. So that it's a desire to consume what is the prevalent norm, right?
Okay, so
Architects become so dumb.
in other words, even if we have to build dense cities, we don't have to do it the way we are doing it.
Yes.
That's my point.
No, I get your point.
Yeah. Okay.
So is it fixed?
We're sitting in the same class.
But do we actually even need dense cities? Okay, I'll come to that. So we are entering a new phase in the affairs of the world. Just a brief history. Spice trade led to the Industrial Revolution. The colonization was because of the spice trade, right? The colonists came to Southeast Asia to take the spices and bring it back to Europe. Then the continued extraction from the non-West by the West. Then giant Western global corporations and financialized globalization under Western dominance, the explosion of manic consumption as a way of life of the middle classes, sweetened brainwashing, right? I call it sweetened brainwashing. This economic order led to the dehumanization under the materialist order. Spirit became a mass movement, right? So you have religion, right? Because of as a kind of reaction against materialism. So to maintain Western domination of the materialist West, this is purely political. You have MIMAC, right? MIMAC, M-I-M-A-C, right? The military, industrial, media, and academic complex. So academia is completely dominated, co-opted by the military, industrial, and financial media, right? So the rise of BRICS, and this is what we are now in, right? So this is the poem by Tagore. that the night has ended. Put out the light of the lamp of thine own narrow corner smudged with smoke. This is a real critique of us, no? The great morning which is for all appears in the east. This is the Asian challenge, right? Asia has to lead the world. Let its light reveal us to each other who walk on the same path of pilgrimage. Tango. Okay. So, towards a new humanized economy. This is a very important successful experiment in northern Spain at a township called Mondragon, right? Where every worker owns a share in the company that they work in. Then the whole community owns their own bank, owns their own university, have their own research outfit, and so on and so forth. They do their own housing. Nobody is out of a job. So in other words, there is a possibility of the re-humanization of the economy itself, which implies a re-humanization of the politics, which therefore implies a re-humanization of the aesthetics. Okay, so what does this mean, you see? It means work-life balance. So the question is that why can't we have this? Why is it slow life is not a viable option today? We should have fast life and slow life. It should be a choice, right? Because this is my student, right? The guy on the right, right? Li Tze is a China student of mine. He did his PhD with me, right? This is a picture 10 years ago. He was inspired by my idea about rural urbanization, which is to decentralize urbanization, to set up a network of human settlements across the entire landscape, across political boundaries, across economic boundaries, okay? And so he took my ideas and went to southwest China, gave a computer to the local shopkeeper, trained the guy how to use it. The guy was very successful. He immediately started the e-commerce from the village to the town. Made a lot of money and was very successful. This is a picture of Jack Ma. Jack Ma was 10 years younger than he came, and Jack Ma immediately said to him, I'm going to implement e-commerce for 500 villages tomorrow. And that's the beginning of Alibaba. So I inspired my student created Alibaba. This is the reality, right? And this is the kind of the power of ideas, which we tend to dismiss as it's just your opinion. It's not just an opinion. It's a critique of the present economic political order, which we need to tear apart, okay? Because it's shit, man. So this is the project which I'm working on now, right? The New Asia University. This is the beginning, the starting point, right? To start a new university, right? Which is 1 kilometer by 1 kilometer surrounded by farms, right? 100 feet. This is a research project I did with my students. The question was, what is the maximum number of people that we can put in 1 square kilometer, right? Wherein they can live well, right? They can earn, learn, and live, right? And the center part is all the robotic factories. The red part is what I call the central nervous system, which is missing in all our town planning. Because our town planners are trained to regard urban planning, the objective of urban planning is to produce a well-functioning mechanism. My proposition is that the city, the human settlement must become an intelligent living organism, not a mechanism. Therefore, you must insert into the human settlement the nervous system, which that's the reason why the human organism is the most advanced of all biological organisms, is because we have an extensive nervous system in which all the ideas and sensations
and readapt.
Right?
Something they can adapt and readapt.
No, in which the life of the community becomes an information system in itself. So everybody's learning from everybody else. Okay? So this is the proposal. Right now, I'm involved with a group called Asian Dialogue Society, which consists of about 100 intellectuals stretching from Turkey right up to Japan, right? And we have been having a whole series of discussions over the last, 40 years, right? I was invited to join the group about 30 years ago because of their interest in my ideas about rural urbanization, okay? Just to name a few people, right? Anwar Ibrahim was a member, Sukumpon Paribatra, who used to be the mayor of Bangkok, is a member, he's still a member. In fact, he's the chairman of the group now. Surin Pitsoan, right, used to be the Secretary General of ASEAN, right? So we have these people at I call it, these are people at track 1 level. We are track 2, you see. Track 2 is to research ideas to influence track 1. That's our job, okay? So right now the project is to ADS has adopted the project, which is the building of a new Asia, of which ASEAN would be the trigger, okay? And my contribution to that whole dialogue is the University of New Asia, NAU, now. Right? So what is the curriculum? Which we just had a meeting by Zoom last week. We had professors from Switzerland, from India, from Malaysia, from Indonesia participating in the Zoom discussion. Okay? And I was asked to present my ideas about NAU, and it boils down to, let me just make it very simple. The new university that I envisage is very different from the present universities. All present universities are divided into faculties, right? You have law faculty, arts and social science, economics, law, and so on, right? I said no more faculties. We only need to have one central, what I call a core curriculum, right? What is a core curriculum? A core curriculum is to teach the students what is the reality of the world. How is the world dominated by all kinds of cultural and political forces, cultural, political, and economic forces, right, in which we are entrapped. And then surrounding the core curriculum, in which every student must sign up for a core curriculum, then you have a whole range of major and minor electives. So in other words, students design their own course. So if you're an architectural student, you might want architecture will be your major elective, but you may take side courses in say philosophy, or in biology, or in social science, or in whatever, right?
Okay, so sorry. I'm sorry to interrupt, Bang. Just to kind of, in the interest of rolling on with time, maybe we'll continue with the presentation and go not so much into detail from designing a campus, but the bigger thoughts. And then I wanted Manjeet to also kind of just talk about what she wants to talk about.
Okay, let me wrap up.
Yeah.
So what's the role of big cities? I said the big cities, we don't need big cities anymore, right? Why? Because everything else can be decentralized, right?
More so now,
yeah. With the robotics and all of that, right? So there are only 6 functions left for a big city: to be centers for the highest levels of medical research and treatment. That's it. Second, centers for the highest levels of technology research and innovation. Centers for the highest level of academic research and education. Centers for the highest levels of media production, art, music, all of those things, right? Centers for the highest levels of cultural development and production and propagation, and centers for the highest levels of financial management and international relations and security. That's all.
Can I say
so
something?
Singapore can be reduced down to 1 million people. We don't need the rest. Right?
Hallelujah.
But can I say something to that? I mean, a city can be all of this, but one of the basic things that you spoke about in terms of humans, our desire to see and be seen and engage with other humans. How do you take that away from the concept of urbanization?
It depends on your livelihood, right? So if you have
No, but we
ability,
all want to see, be seen, and that is where urbanization is also happening because of that.
no,
Besides all of that, don't you think?
How about Zoom or online presence?
no, there's
It's not
no
the
there's
same.
no substitute
It's
for
not the
face to
same
face.
thing. There's no substitute for face to face, right?
Okay, so you can be living in a city of 100,000 people, right? In which you have all the central nervous system, in which you will be meeting everybody. Okay. And by the way, the reason for 100,000 is because that's the minimum number for what do you call it? A big orchestra. Okay. So this is the immediate potential, right? Singapore, Johor, Sumatra as one core area, 45 million people for a start, right? All the pink dots are where you have all the small settlements and medium-sized cities and so on, all linked together, right? So this is a rural settlement, right? Surrounded by farms, right? So emancipation of the humanity is a many splendid thing. That's what we need to do now. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. That was thought-provoking.